I know we had some terrible news when I started talking about the failure that is Lord Vader, but I'm here to give you just a little glimpse, a little brief insight, perhaps the shining glimmer of hope that we have for the future, and I think it's going to be super good and maybe finally bring justice to Vader in Galaxy of Heroes. That is right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking about the upcoming update, the era of the anniversary. Now, front and foremost, right over here, we know we're getting Spider Legs Maul, but I think that Vader Duel's End is going to be my most anticipated character out of this new set, and there's a reason for that. If we take a look at this little new era has begun over here, we've got some new marquees. I have a feeling that the order is going to be Luke, IG-90, Yoda Chewie, Asajj Ventress, Inquisitor Barriss, and Darth Vader Duel's End right at the end, okay? There's a couple of reasons why I think it's going to be in that order and why I think the order is important, all right? First and foremost, one of the reasons why I am super excited about Vader, new Vader, Duel's End Vader, is because of what they go through here. Let's just have a look at this. So they give us a little bit of an overview of the anniversary era marquee events, right? We're getting 6 of them. The last one that they've ordered here is Duel's End Darth Vader, another thing to reinforce the behavior that Luke will be first, IG-90 will be next, Yoda and Chewie, Asajj Ventress, Inquisitor Barriss, Darth Vader Duel's End, okay? The reason I'm excited is because it says, as a stranger steals away Vader's apprentice, Starkiller is being taken away from Emperor Palpatine's team, or even Seer Junda's team. This elite marquee joins his new master as the Emperor's hand as the backbone, and the Emperor's hand as the backbone of the true Empire squad. This tells me a couple of things. 1, Vader will definitely be that replacement for Starkiller. 2, he is going to be incredibly powerful. And 3, it's going to be a full Empire system. So it's not going to be like before when we had, you know, like Empire and maybe some Sith and a little bit of a mix-up. We won't be having like the very old sort of Nightmare Squad that was like EP with the Triumvirate and that sort of thing. So it's going to be a full Empire squad. Okay, but the Elite Marquee part is one of the things that's very interesting, and secondly is the ordering. I'll get into the ordering afterwards. But first of all, let's talk about Elite Marquees and their introduction to the game. There has only ever been one Elite Marquee in the game to date. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if we get another one. The Great Mothers came out, what was it, about October last year, there or thereabouts, so nearly a year since we've had the Great Mothers in the game. And the Great Mothers are a really powerful leader, okay? When these guys first came to the game, they were absolutely dominant in the game. Partially because their kit is incredibly strong. They lift up, more or less, 3 old trashy Night Sisters with the likes of Asajj Ventress. Acolyte was even flirted around in there, and then you can throw in whoever you want, but generally speaking it'll be Great Mothers with Morgan Elsbeth, right, as the sort of the core duo, and then you'll have Spirit and Asajj and maybe Acolyte. I know a lot of people these days use the Peridia Patrol units in Night Trooper and Death Trooper Peridia, but that's immaterial to the argument that I want to talk to you about today. So the reason why I'm excited is because we've only ever had one Elite Marquee unit ever, and it was phenomenal. When these guys came out, they have an ability that completely strips away people's protection, can't get it back, prevents revives, mass assists, lowering of max health and protection, incredibly durable and survivable, and they just completely dominated. Now, the reason why I think that Darth Vader's Duel's End at the end is important is because I think we are going to get a bespoke Datacron for Darth Vader Duel's End. Just like we had a bespoke Datacron for the Great Mothers, which was obnoxiously powerful. It was probably the most overpowered Datacron ever to exist. It had something like, what was it, like a less than 30% success rate. There were 2 counters in the game that actually beat the Great Mothers with their Datacrons, and if you couldn't do it, it was kind of game over. You know, this is on par with the sort of Evasion Cron, no cooldown Lord Vader Datacron, on par with the likes of the slacker Darkside Vision Ray Cron, probably even a hair more powerful. They were absolutely dominant. So I feel like Darth Vader Duel's End is going to be that same level of power for EP Mara Jade. Now, I would be interested to see what is actually going to be the final team, like in totality for that unit, but I have a couple of ideas. I think it's going to be one of these setups. Now, just replace Darth Vader with Darth Vader's Dual End. We'll have EP Mara Jade, because it says within the actual post itself, his elite marquee joins his new master and the Emperor's Hand as the backbone. So we know that EP Mara Jade and Darth Vader Duel's End is going to be the core trio. The last 2 slots I think is going to be open for debate. Now, I've thrown in Piet in one of my suggestions because realistically speaking, Piet these days, he doesn't really see a whole lot of use. There was a time when he used to be with Lord Vader, and then there was a time when he was in an Imperial Trooper team trying to put out good work. And whilst they do have some levels of use in PvE, in GAC they have largely lost their viability. You don't really see a lot of people running Imperial Troopers these days under a Piet's an assist. So I feel like Piet could find his redemption almost in coming back to this Empire squad. The fact that he's got Emperor's Trap over here, this Emperor's Trap boost giving 6% offense and potency per stack to this Empire team could mean a lot of good things for Darth Vader's Duel's End. Increasing the amount of potency means more stuns, getting more likely to have these stuns immediately on Mara Jade's turn. Lots of turn meter means more turns for Empire characters, which is then going to boost up their offense, right? And Thrawn is a phenomenal character in this game. He used to be the best, hands down, no contest, plug and play character in this game, simply because his kit is so good. You've got Fracture over here that is able to completely lock down anything but a Galactic Legend, essentially, for a number of turns. He's one of the very few characters in this game that has got a turn meter swap that is like completely separate from your faction. So he can turn meter swap with literally anybody, which is also works as a cleanse and has protection recovery. So Grand Admiral Thrawn is a fantastic, fantastic character, and I would love to see him get more use. Now, the only thing that I think could be a little bit different over here is they might not use Piet and instead use Royal Guard. Royal Guard has lost his use. Right? He's lost his use now because he used to be part of the Lord Vader team, then Lord Vader got all his dark side clones in an effort to try and make him meta, and we all saw how that turned out. So I think maybe this is a place that we can actually get Royal Guard to have his use again. Now, I think it would be in replacement of Piet because I feel like Thrawn is almost a certainty for this team, but Royal Guard would be nice to have a little bit of use again. You're going to want to have a tank in this team, I feel. So I feel like this is probably the most likely team comps that we're going to see. I doubt we get another Empire character on the horizon. Of course, we are getting Inquisitor Barriss, and she probably will have the Empire tag, but it seems pretty clear that that team, or that girl, is decided to lift up Inquisitors in 3v3, and in 5v5 is supposed to be with Seer Junda as part of an unaligned Force user team. So I don't think Barriss will form part of this team, but we could be wrong. We haven't seen the kits yet, hopefully soon. Speaking of the kits, what do we think this new Darth Vader could possibly have? All right, there are some similarities in all versions of Anakin or Darth Vader that we've seen in this game to date. For example, damage over times is a very common theme. We've also got things like ability block and buff immunity and bonus turns, and I have to feel like at least some of those mechanics are going to be reintroduced with Darth Vader. Dots and EP obviously have a very, very close integration with each other. They are very connected because when we do debuffs, we're going to be gaining turn meter, we're going to be healing up under Palpatine's leadership. It seems pretty clear from the post that CG puts out that Palpatine is going to be the lead, right? Because it says this elite marquee joins his new master. Obviously, Palpatine was Vader's master, and the Emperor's Hand as the backbone. So it feels like it's definitely going to be Palp's lead with EP Mara Jade. So it feels like this character will most likely feature some form of debuff that is quite debuff heavy, AoE debuffs. And that is most likely going to be dots because we've seen dots on almost every version of Vader. Not only does it exist on his ship, it exists on his Lord Vader variant, Darth Vader variant, not on the Anakin variant. but bonus turns is another aspect of it, okay? Bonus turns. So Lord Vader gets a bonus turn when he goes into his ultimate. Not all GLs do. Most, in fact, don't. Darth Vader obviously has bonus turns as part of his merciless massacre. You go into this many turns, depending on how many enemy units there are on the field at that time, and that's going to play well with Admiral Piet and his ability to pass out additional stacks of Emperor's Trap, increasing our potency and increasing our damage over time. Also, Jedi Knight Anakin, when characters fall below certain health thresholds, he takes a bonus turn and can also pass bonus turns to Padme Amidala, although she's not going to be in this team, obviously, but we see a consistency there of thematic, themes that run across Anakin, right? So dots, and I do think bonus turns are going to be a feature, potentially buff immunity, potentially ability block, potentially heal immunity, because all of those things feature in this character's kit as well as on his ship. So I think it's almost certain. Now there's one thing that I would really like to see in Darth Vader's kit. Darth Vader Duel's End is based on the Kenobi series Vader, the one that we see at the very end of the Kenobi TV series. You can tell by which side of the helmet is broken off. It's not the one from Rebels where he fights Ahsoka Fulcrum. This is the fight versus Kenobi, and I would love to show you footage from that and talk about how I think that elements from the fight that Vader has with Kenobi at the end of the Kenobi series is going to translate into his kit, but I can't, because if I do, I'm going to be in breach of copyright. Isn't that wonderful? It's not like I've already recorded the entire video with that segment in there, uploaded to YouTube, and found out that it's copyrighted and I wouldn't be able to monetize the video at all, so yay. But basically, if you do go on your Disney Plus account and you review that Kenobi fight, you'll see a couple of things. One, we do see Vader do a little force pull on a rock and trip up Kenobi. Maybe that means we might have some sort of move that translates to using off balance or perhaps stagger as debuffs. Debuffs interact with Palpatine's kit, giving additional turn meter and health recovery for Sith, for example. But more importantly, there is a scene where he says that is why you will never win, or you will always fail, or something like that, and he puts his hand down on the ground, the floor cracks into a giant crater, and Kenobi falls into this crater and is promptly buried on a deluge of rocks. If you can have a deluge of rocks, it's probably more water that can do that. But hey, we're not here to discuss semantics, we're here to talk Darth Vader and his new kit. I personally think if they do not introduce that move, that entombed move where he creates a crater on the ground and buries him, it is a huge missed opportunity, because it is one of the biggest, coolest moments for that Darth Vader within that TV series. There's that, and is where he drags Kenobi over the hot fires in an earlier episode in the season is really, really cool. And I think it would be a missed opportunity if they don't involve it. Like I said, wish I could show you the clip, but I can't. Woe is me. And I think it will be called, and that is why you always lose. Or something like that. Anyway, let me know your thoughts. Are you excited about the prospect of having a new elite marquee come to the game, even if it means a bespoke Datacron that is probably a little bit too powerful? Now, personally, I hope he's powerful enough to lift that team to new heights. I want it to be at least on par with the likes of Seer Malicos. I think that would be a fantastic addition to the game. It would be great if we could have Lord Vader being some sort of prominent within the game's meta. He is the chosen one. It would be a great opportunity, CG. Let's make it happen, Captain. Show your support for the Darth Vader Revival Initiative in the comment section down below. Give me your thoughts on what we might see, and I will see you all in the very next video. Peace out, and may the Force be with you.